Dr. Fenley. Okay, I don't have anyone here. It was an essay day. Everyone went home. But my student came through, brought the video camera, and I hope I can get it transferred. Anyway, I'm going to do a presentation, classroom lecture on argument and persuasive essays. So I'm going to pretend there's some students out here. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, great. Today we're going to cover argument and persuasive essays. You've done 4 so far. You've dealt with cause and effect, compare and contrast, division classification, and you've also covered descriptive. You did a good job. Anyway, what is argument? What's it all about? Is it fighting? No, it's not. Argument is presenting an idea in order to persuade someone of something. Sell them something, have them join your side, your team. Persuasion, that's the key to it. It's not fighting. It's misunderstood in our culture. But if you think about it, you do it every day, and hopefully you do it well enough so that you don't have to worry about someone winning all the time. Good. A little bit of history of argument. It's probably as old as the cave days, I don't know, but I can tell you that tenets for it, regulations, if you will, started back in Greece that we know. Aristotle, you probably heard that name somewhere down the line, philosopher, established this concept of persuasive, what they call persuasive appeals. And what it is these appeals were set up in 3 sections of logos, pathos, and ethos. Now we'll start with logos and see where we can go with that. Logos is just Greek for logic. The Greeks were famous for developing logical theories and formulas. When you put together your argument, persuasive essays, you want to use some logic in it, if at all possible. One of the main things you want to avoid is simply getting emotional. Just emotions seldom gets a point across well. And it can turn a lot of people off, so be careful. Let's just start out with the premise that we are going to try to be logical. So, what can we use in an essay to present logical arguments? How about test results? I'm going to do an essay on safety of automobiles, what could make them safer. What about test results? Let's put this under logos. Let's just say it's logic. That's what it is. What can we use? Okay. Let's use test results. Safer cars. I'm going to present the 2004 statistical information on which cars were the safest on American highways. There, that's the information I can use there. Statistics. Stats. That's going to play into it, right? I might get some of those statistics from those tests. But it's along the same lines, and I can use statistics. I can throw out numbers. 33% of all SUVs were involved in fender benders last year. Okay, I can use it. Documentation. Documents. Let's just say docs. Sure. Okay, documents. I'll bring the testing results in and statistical charts in if I have to. I'll use it. I can put something that I can use a quote, put it into the essay. Expert testimony. Expert testimony. Can I quote an expert? Do I know someone that I can use who's an expert in the field of automotive safety? Eyewitness accounts. Eyewitness accounts, testimony, whatever. What about quoting somebody that claims to have witnessed one of these accidents, and they can can reinforce the idea that it happened the way that it says it did in all the testing and all the stats in the documents, that we have everything to prove it, so we can do that. Interpretation. Okay, what is interpretation? Analysis of information available. We can use that. Info, okay? Maybe other legal aspects. Okay, let's go. Examples, can we use examples? Sure we can. I'm sorry I'm so sloppy doing this at an angle. Examples of what? Specific incidents of when we did the testing. Okay? This is what happened. I can give an example of my own experience. Sure I can. And then the old hypothetical. The hypo, and I ain't talking about a meaning here. Hypothetical. What if this happened? Can I use that? Sure I can. Last but not least, we can use surveys. Surveys may encompass a number of these elements to make a point. But you can use all of those. Okay? So let's just think that we'll use some logic in our essay. Maybe not totally base it on logic, but some logic. Okay, what are the advantages? Simple and sweet. What do tests do? They show. What do stats do? They show. What do documents do? They show. Expert testimony shows. We are providing evidence, facts. You've probably seen, what's the practice. Okay. Movies, John Grisham's book. What do lawyers use? A lot. They use facts. Okay? Provides evidence. And in theory, when we're talking logical, we've got all these facts, they can be verified. That's the advantage of logic, using all this official documentation. Disadvantage. What does it require of the reader or the individual listening to your argument? Attention. If you can't get the attention, if you can't hold the attention, you're going to lose. So keep that in mind. That's a detriment. Complexity. If you have too many stats, too much documentation, too many people giving testimony, too much of anything, if it's too hard to follow, you're going to lose. People won't be able to follow you. They'll lose your argument. They'll lose the point. Okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Quit. And let's talk about the next appeal. We did logos or logic. So let's go to pathos or pathos. And it's not one of the three musketeers. I know. I think about that sometimes. Okay, what are we doing with this? Let's reach the emotion. Okay? We're going for gut. Okay, what can we do here? We can be creative. That's for one thing. Creativity. We can appeal to people's creativity because it's an emotional thing. Self-expression. People love it. Self-expression, sure. Expression. We can use it. Okay, let's go to independence. Can we appeal to people's independence streak? You bet. Sure we can. Let's see. Who doesn't like to think they're the individual? What do you do when you want to show your individual in the United States? You go get a tattoo, right? No. Gee. You don't get a tattoo. Now you're an individual. But show that. Let's see. Individualism. That'll go over here. Okay. Let's talk about conformity. How could that be like individuality? Well, it's not necessarily, but let's just agree. Conformity, people don't like to stand out in the crowd a lot of times, right? Okay? They like to conform. They like to feel they conform to something. They have that, whatever, need to be in a group. We can use that. We can appeal to that emotional part of the person. Let's see. Let's try this one. Endurance. How would that be emotional? Endurance? You know, like a marathon? How about surviving a war? Appeal to a person's sense of, I did it. I accomplished that. I toughed it out. And nobody else would. You could use it, sure. And it can touch on the emotion. Fear. What a biggie. Anyone afraid of speaking in public here? 25 hands just went up. Yeah. It's the biggest fear. Everything I've read in my life is I always said, in psych books, whatever, fear of speaking in public is the biggest fear people possess, bigger than the fear of death. So, could it be effective? You bet. Fear. Let's put 2 exclamation points in that one. Is fear emotional? Yes, it is. Okay, how about popularity? Do people like to be popular? Sure. Let's put popular. Yes, they do. And it plays into emotions. What happens when people feel unpopular? They get the blues, they get depressed. People like, at least the concept of popularity is probably more than it's built up to be. Okay, advantages of using emotions to reach people. It's immediate. Remember fear. Bam! Use a starter's pistol to get people's attention. It's immediate. It's going to work. Emotional things. Creativity. Endurance. Popularity. Conformity. Independence. How about reaching into the heart? You can reach into people's hearts. It's heartfelt. Powerful. Okay? Very good. Okay, disadvantages. That power can be disadvantaged. Okay, let's say this. Powerful power. Okay, what happens sometimes when too many people at one time get powerful? Mob mentality. Be careful of something like that, especially if you're speaking in public. You know, stir up a riot kind of thing. Be careful. And it tends to be short-lived. The kind of excitement or power built up in people when they get excited about things, creative ideas, or fear or emotions, it's almost always very short-lived. You've heard of the fight or flight principle in nature, Darwinian stuff. Well, our bodies aren't meant to be at full peak, you know, adrenaline pumping 24 hours a day, or 7 hours a day, or 3 hours a day. It's very difficult. Even athletes have trouble putting their prowess directed like that for 3 or 4 hours. So it's short-lived. Keep that in mind. It could backfire on you if you lose your audience because they lose interest in it. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the last appeal that we can use. According to Aristotle, we might come up with something new. Let's talk about ethos. Okay. Ethos. What is ethos? Okay. Basically, ethics. Ethics are important. At least they should be. What can we use when we're talking about utilizing ethical standards to present an argument? Steve? Well, we can appeal to several things when we're talking about that. How about religion? So says, that's not ethics, that's morality. Yeah. But how many people have an ethical code without a moral code to base it on? One doesn't seem to be able to exist without the other. Okay. Religion. Can we appeal to that? Sure we can. People do it every day in the world. Sometimes they do it to the detriment of a society, sometimes for the good of a society. Shared values in those religions. How about patriotism? Can we use that? Sure. Let's see, patriot. Mel Gibson, right? The patriot. Okay, yeah, sure. What do you do when you want people to join up in military services? You've seen the commercials. An army of one. Be all that you can be, whatever. Yeah. You can sure appeal to that part of people. You know, you're at a baseball game and the anthem goes off. Sometimes that stirs patriotism in some folks. I still adhere to that. Maybe it's military training, I don't know, but sure. Okay. How about, let's see. How about standards? How do they fit into ethics or ethos? Well, standards. Don't doctors have a certain standard they have to meet in the medical field? Don't lawyers have a bar? They have to pass their bar exam. They have to theoretically agree to be honorable and do right by their clients and to not lie and to not cheat. Okay, forget lawyers. Okay, standards, restaurants. You ever read a restaurant review? 5 stars, 2 stars. You don't want to go below 2 stars, but you get the drift. Yes, of course. Give you standards to appeal to people's ethical sensibilities. Okay, and how about humanitarianism? Can we do that? Sure, humanities. What if you're appealing to an audience full of atheists? You know, someone, not agnostics, atheists, someone that doesn't believe in the existence of a higher being. Are you going to appeal to their religious sensibility? Probably not. How about, hey, we're all human, right? We all make mistakes. Appeal to the humanistic side. That can work. Secular appeal, if you will. Okay, advantages of ethical approach. What does it do? It calls predominantly on people's core values, the things that are in here and in here for years, often. From the way they're raised, the schools they've attended, churches, whatever. It appeals to that part of people. And it can be as powerful as the appeal to the emotions that we can use. Okay? It can be just as powerful. Is there a disadvantage? There's always an advantage and disadvantage to anything we do. The audience, on the whole, when you use ethical standards, religion, patriotism standards, and humanitarian, is they have to, in general, share some of these core values. If they don't share these values, it's unlikely that you're going to reach the group. You might reach a small faction, but the group, okay? Again, in an essay, you need to know that you're reaching for values when you use that. Okay, what if you want to use more than just ethos or an ethical approach to write your essay? Can you do it? Sure you can. What you want to do is use that technique we talked about in your other essays. You know, compare and contrast, cause effect, blend. Blend that logos or logic plus pathos, pathos, whatever you want. Let's see. Can we blend it? Sure we can. Emotion with, let's see. Okay, excuse me. Let's put a plus sign here too. Plus our ethos. We can do that. Sure we can. Our ethics. Okay. Equals what? Good appeal, an excellent appeal. All of those aspects, okay? We can do that. Okay. We want to get facts with our logic. We want to use emotion with our pathos, and we want to use ethics with our ethical sensibility, with our ethos. To do what? Equals argument, which we are basing our argument on these appeals, again. And what's it going to ultimately come up with? Persuasion. Oh. Persuade. Okay. Now, I want to read a quick example. Open your books to 552. Let's do that. And we're just going to break down a real quick, short essay called Make a Difference on 552. It shows, if you look in the left-hand margin there, we have pathos, emotional example demonstrating the problem. 13-year-old Sandy Lopez will not have to sleep in the doorway tonight. Abandoned by abusive parents, she spent 6 weeks living in subway stations and alleys before she came to Covenant House. Today she has a warm bed, clean clothes, regular meals. She is back in school making friends and studying music. If that ain't pathos, I don't know what is. She spent the night in the doorway. If that doesn't touch you, cold. Think about it. That's pretty touching, thinking about somebody having to sleep outdoors. Abandoned by abusive parents. Not just abandoned, abusive parents. Double whammy. Spent 6 weeks living in subway stations and alleys. We'll put alley in there to show not a very nice locale. Today, in Covenant House, she has this warm bed, clean clothes, and regular meals. Back in school, and she's making friends, studying music. Boy, is this not all where we at here? Emotion? Yeah. Effective. Now let's go into some logical stuff, some logos, factual support to push our essay. Since 1986, Covenant House has helped thousands of homeless children find shelter, counseling, and support. 80% of our clients complete high school, and almost a third graduate from college. But Covenant House has only 80 beds, and every day has to turn away dozens of the 2,000 homeless children who live in the streets, where they often succumb through drugs, prostitution, and alcohol abuse. To meet the growing need, Covenant House needs your help to build a new dorm, hire more counselors, and expand its job training center. Now we got these facts, these logical tidbits of information. We're putting those in too. Since, a date, we got a date in there, 1986, Covenant House, we're presenting it, helped thousands, there's a number, thousands of homeless children find shelter, counseling, and support. 3 avenues, 3 points. 80%, throwing out a number, of our clients, the people that we help, complete high school. That's a statistic, we got that. Almost a third, another statistics, graduate from college. Now we're going to show why, but we're still using statistics, why we need the money. We have only 80 beds, and we have to turn away dozens of people all the time. In fact, over 2,000, there's a number stat there. And what happens when we turn these people away? Drugs, prostitution, alcohol abuse. And we have all this information, and we're appealing to the logical sensibility there. To meet the growing need, Covenant House needs help to build a new dorm, hire more counselors, and expand job training. All of these statistical pieces of information, tidbits of information that we can use in a logical argument. Now, they sum this up with the ethos or the ethical call, the ethical standard that we want to meet as a group. Living in one of the richer cities in the world, we're all in this together, can we ignore the children who sleep in our streets? Make a difference. Contribute to Covenant House today. Short and sweet, right? Appeal to religion. God wouldn't want me to let those kids stay out another night in that alley. Patriotism. We can get these kids out the street and train them in a job and put them to work, and the economic system of the United States will continue and flourish. So what else can we do with that? We can make a difference. Humanitarianism, right? We can do that. If we do it together, we can do it. Make a difference. Contribute. Standards. You know as well as I do that we wouldn't want to live this way. Let's give them at least a decent place to live and give them a decent meal. Okay, so we can blend all of those appeals in there together. Now, I don't want to go into a lot of information on how do we come up with logic, because most of us, at this point in life, we have a sensibility of what logic is. It's facts. It has to make sense. It has to be logical. There are tons well, not tons, there's many college courses specifically on logic, basic logic, advanced logic, theoretical logic, and on. Whole courses. 3 hours a week, 15 weeks of logic. We don't have time. What is logic? It's a way to figure things out. How do we figure those out? Basically, we deduce things or we induce them. By deduction, we take what they call a major premise, and we try to equate it or work it in with a minor premise. something that we can draw from. Let me get this out here, in case I need it. Okay, do a quick, whoops, where's my little writing sheet? Here it is. Okay. Real quick, simple. Major premise. Let's see. Let's go. What's a good one? Okay, this is simple when you heard all cows are mammals. Okay? What's my minor premise? That's a minor one. Bessie is the cow. I can tell from looking at it. She's got all the spots or whatever. So what are we going to do? We can make a conclusion from that. This is deductive reasoning. This is logic. Major premise, all cows are animals. Minor premise, Bessie is a cow. And my conclusion is, Bessie is a mammal. Mammal. Deductive reasoning. In a nutshell, in a hamburger. We got it. Okay. Now, induction. A little bit different in the sense that we're still going to try to find a conclusion, an answer, but we're going to do it. We don't really have any major premise here. We may not have a minor premise. So what do? Well, you guys have probably seen CSI Miami, or one of those shows. Forensic shows are great for this inductive reasoning. We're going to find as many pieces of information as we can and gather them and put them together and study them, and we're going to figure this out. And when we're done doing all that, we're going to end up making a conclusion that makes sense